Anyone who's been watching our content for some time now might be a bit confused as to who Unkle Adams is. We mention him every now and again in a quick search to bring up a couple of different things, and I've honestly wanted to talk about Unkle Adams for quite a while now. My problem is I don't even know where to begin. There's many pieces to this puzzle and it's hard to decide if it's a good idea to build from the corners or from like the middle. You see, Unkle Adams is a rapper, but not just any rapper. He's a clean, motivational rapper. He doesn't rap about drugs or money. He raps about feeling positive and expressing yourself. Except he doesn't. He doesn't do that at all. Unkle Adams basically raps about nothing. Nothing in particular at the very least. It's actually very hard breaking down an Unkle Adams lyric because he manages to pretty much say nothing for entire verses and songs. Let's take a look at Unk's classic tune, At Least a Million. Now, let me be clear. I don't know jack shit about rapping. I tried to rhyme once and I almost died. So let's just keep that in mind as we go forward.
Most progressive, my flow is impressive. Didn't get the memo? Well, get the message. When the moon's a crescent, I'm freshly dressing. When it's half a full, they can't match my essence.
Okay, so the first line, Unk is the most progressive artist as well. His flow is impressive. It's not an awful start to the song, and I at least have an idea of what he's saying. He's bragging about how he's more progressive than other rappers. I think he means in terms of lyrical ability, but he could also mean like how liberal he is. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. The problem with Unk is that he does very little of this. He just says he does it. I don't think I can name a single progressive lyric in Unk's career, but I can definitely think about 10 times he said he is progressive, or better, or more talented. He very rarely proves his point, he just states it. He just states, I am good at rapping, I am progressive, I am this, I am that, that's it. Things really start to crumble when you get to the next line. Didn't get the memo? Well, get the message. What do you mean? Do you mean the memo about you being great? We definitely got that. Your biggest song is original, which its entire premise is about how amazing you are. Then he says, did you get the message, without actually saying the message? Unless he meant the previous line about the flows being impressive, but how am I supposed to get the message when you don't state what the message is? It's no wonder people are missing your memos on. You're not writing anything on them. They don't mean anything. It's not explained in the next line either, which is, when the moon's a crescent, I'm freshly dressing. Which, again, a line about nothing really. It's about how he dresses good. Is that the message? That he dresses good at night, specifically? Okay, maybe people got the memo and they just didn't care, because who cares about that? Also, you say nighttime, but the video shows you in daytime. Like, what do you look like at night? Is it a completely different thing? Also in the next line, when it's half or full, they can't match my essence. So basically Unk is saying that they, possibly his memoless peers, can't match his style. Unk in the song never really explains what he's wearing. He later brings up suits and in the video he's wearing like a suit blazer thing, and that's about it. He also wears the visor in the video and like a long sleeve t-shirt, and now I'm no fashion guru, but if I was trying to convince someone that I was stylish, this would not be my go-to outfit. This looks like shit. You look like a weird middle-aged madman. Also, just a little quick one. When I was making this video, I thought the line was, when it's half or full, they can't match my essence. But apparently, it's half of full. And I honestly don't know if Unk is illiterate or if this is a typo, because if that is the lyric, that means the whole thing doesn't make any sense at all. It's like an illiterate sentence. I could go through the whole song, but I won't. Basically, the song goes on to talk about pretty much nothing throughout the entire thing. He goes on to talk about people envious of his style, how great his music is, how great he is at dancing. The next verse does have a brief line about his haters, and then he continues to talk about his great dance moves, great rapping ability, and great style. Then there's another brief line about haters, and then more lines about how great he is. The next verse even starts with a line about how great his style is. In one line, he briefly touched on the fact you wouldn't be able to buy or rent his style. That's the only line in the song that relates to the whole at least a million message. That's the only line in the entire song. And then the rest of the verse is about how great at rapping he is. One line about how you don't need money to be like Unkle Adams. 2 lines about haters. 1 line about memos. 8 lines about how good at rapping he is. 13 lines about how stylish he is. 6 lines about how good at dancing he is. And the rest of the lines either vaguely add on from the last line or just filler trash that you don't need to worry about. All of this is up for debate, whether you count certain lines or not. I just went through it once and kind of just went through it, and I don't care if it's wrong. You may be asking yourself, so what's the problem here?
Now we're feeling like at least a million. You can feel like $1 million, even with a couple bucks in the bank, man. Take a good look in my wallet. There might be a bit of dust and a post.
The song's fucking hook is about how you could feel like $1 million without money. In the chorus, he does talk about his style, but he presents it in a way that he and his friends have turned up to a party and are the best looking guys there in the same vague way he does it in his verses. There's no mention of these other people, what they look like, what they're doing. It's all variations of either I look good and they don't, or I rap good and they don't, or I dance well and they don't. Unk can't dance. He can't dance at all. I don't know who he's trying to convince in this song, because we all know he can't dance. Out of all the things mentioned, this is definitely his weakest skill in an already lackluster collective. Unk's dancing generally revolves around awkwardly shuffling his fists, pulling strange faces, and not moving his legs at all. Let's compare this song to a song that this one is clearly inspired by, despite whatever Unkle Adams says. It's fucking thrift shop. It's budget thrift shop. Ironic considering Unk isn't Macklemore, but he is. He's trying so hard to be Macklemore. Thrift shop talks about how even though you have next to no money, you can still look good. The difference is Macklemore has fully embraced this. He speaks about stealing your granddad's clothes, how his clothes smell like piss. It was changing people's perceptions of what style is. He said he could wear some shitty shoes and suddenly shoe fans would be all over them. It speaks about how Macklemore, and this bit's important, will stand out from the crowd compared to the same 5 guys wearing Gucci t-shirts. Thrift shop doesn't pretend that wearing cheap clothes is something glamorous or trendy, but it runs with it anyway and it doesn't care. Macklemore owns the idea of looking stylish on the cheap, and that song was a huge hit, propelling him into the stardom that Unk can only dream of. The song was relatable, catchy, funny, and it was a little bit cheesy and Macklemore kind of, but I think people just liked it because it was a goofy little song, and most people don't get the whole expensive style thing. So it was nice to indulge in a fun little song that goes against all the norms of what stylish means. So let's compare this to Unk. Unk's problem is that he isn't buying things on the cheap. He's buying things expensive that he can't afford, and has plummeted himself in all sorts of debt because of this. Unk wouldn't dare be caught dead wearing something silly, especially after the mockery of Original. This isn't relatable, it's insanity. Also, as much as Unk brags about his style, he doesn't try to push any new styles in the song at all. The only thing we really have is the visor, but we only know that because it's in the video, and because he speaks about it in the At Least a Million video blog about the song. Unk is trying to convince us that the way to look stylish on the cheap is to wear blazers and suits, which are generally not cheap. I just also want to make a quick point that Macklemore doesn't really talk about his great rapping either. He just lets the rapping talk for himself. You've turned on a rap song, the thing you should expect is the guy to be able to rap. You don't need convincing. He doesn't need to start a song with, oh, just to let you know I can rhyme. The song's not about Macklemore, it's about looking stylish in second-hand, cheap clothes. Unk mentions once in the song that you don't need money to look good. Once. In the entire song, not counting the chorus. What's interesting about this song in particular is that we have the mini documentary behind the scenes thing about how Unk made the video, and he spent shitloads on this music video. This video put him a couple of $1,000s in debt, possibly more. I haven't actually done the maths, so I don't care. He was in no state to spend this money. This is not a man who knows how to look good on the cheap. Cheap means not spending that much money. Unk spends a lot of money. Unk wouldn't know what cheap was if it slapped him in his weird sweaty face. It's also hard to relate to Unk because the average person struggles with money just due to rent and bills and maybe not having the best paid job. Unk is struggling because he's an idiot who keeps flipping TVs for quick cash. Looking at Unk's story doesn't make me say, wow, this guy is so positive, even though he's in a lot of debt. It makes me go, wow, this man should be in jail. At Least a Million is a song about nothing. Its point is lost to anyone that knows about Unkle Adams, because they know he's lying through his teeth. And new viewers lost too, because Unk doesn't back up what he says in his verses. Again, I'm at the thrift shop buying cheap clothes. Here's a verse detailing all the cheap shit I bought at the thrift shop and what I plan to do with it. Compare this to, I've got good style, I am a good rapper, my style is good, and rapping I am good at. I look good, dance good, rap good, and flip good, and I feel like at least a million. One last thing, at the beginning of this song, Unk throws away all his bills. He's like, I don't even care I'm in debt because I'm feeling like at least a million. And then he backs this up in the chorus, but in Problems, it's the opposite thing.
But I can't defect this, my credit cards are maxed. It's a top that, a tapped out line of credit from one bank with another one close as ever. I'm so deeply embedded, though I try to forget it.
Note that this song is before At Least a Million, so he was in less debt at the time of writing this song. So he clearly has a problem with the whole debt thing. as he should be. Unc is almost $250,000 in debt at the time of writing, possibly more. That is the confirmed amount of money, but there could also be the stuff that Uncle hasn't told us about. That's a lot of money. It would be perfectly human and relatable to be stressed out about that. If you was to say, just ignore it and then make a song about how you feel like $1 million anyway, I would say you're an insane person. But here we are. Unk's message in his songs is unfocused, repetitive, and half-baked. Most of his songs usually lose all hope by the third verse, which usually just repeats ideas from the first and second verses, or goes completely off the rails. Let's not forget that each song has put him further and further and further into debt. You'd think he'd at least try to make his lyrics a bit more varied and unique, and at the very least put a tiny bit of effort into them. Well, that's that for the Unkle Adams video. I figured I would just go out there and just occasionally make a video on something I feel like. I was showing my friend At Least a Million and I realised that it's kind of underlooked as one of his worst songs. So I decided to break it down a bit. I know I haven't touched on, like, if you don't know about Unkle Adams, this video is probably really confusing. But maybe I'll make some more videos about how he got into the debt, why he is the way he is, stuff like that. But if you'd be interested in that sort of content, let me know in the comments. Please subscribe and give us a like.